Welcome back to SecurityCompliance.io's CMMC Assessment Guidance series, powered by Intersec Inc. In this video, we will continue to discuss the CMMC domains and their individual practices, as well as break down information for each of them to better your understanding of the requirements to ease your journey towards CMMC certification. If you're preparing for CMMC certification and would like to learn how C3PAOs will assess your CMMC Level 1 compliance and how to easily achieve it, this video is for you. Today, we will be moving our discussion into a new domain, System and Communications Protection. The CMMC standard defines one capability for system and communication protection, which is to control communications at system boundaries. The System and Communications domain for Level 1 has two practices. The first practice, SC.1.175, is about monitoring, controlling, and protecting organizational communications at the external boundaries and key internal boundaries of the information system. Let us begin the discussion into SC.1.175 by discussing the source point of view, which is NIST 800-171. Communications can be monitored and protected by many different boundary components. An example is a firewall. Consider the shared nature of telecommunications services in the implementation of security requirements. Implement subnetworks for publicly accessible system components that are physically or logically separated from internal networks. It's important to make a differentiation between publicly accessible and internal. Now, let's understand SC.1.175 from a CMMC perspective. Your company's IT system has boundaries that must be protected. When an employee uses a company computer to go to a website, a web proxy makes a request on the user's behalf, looks at the web request, and decides if it should let the employee go to the website, as you can see in the image below. As a reminder, do not place the internal systems on the same network as the publicly accessible systems. As previously discussed, make that differentiation. Let's go over an example to understand and see this practice in action. You are setting up the new network and want to keep your company's information and resources safe. You start by sketching out a simple diagram that identifies the external boundary of your network and any internal boundaries that are needed. The first piece of equipment you install is the firewall, a device to separate your internal network from the internet. The firewall also has a feature that allows you to block access to potentially malicious websites that you can configure and make your own. Some of your coworkers complain that they cannot get onto certain websites. You explain that the new network blocks websites that are known for spreading malware. The firewall sends you a daily digest of blocked activity so that you can monitor the system for attack trends. Now, take a second to think. What would this mean for your organization? To work towards SC.1.175 implementation, you would need to implement a web proxy and a firewall for your company's network. You would then need to determine the levels of protection needed within the network. As a reminder, make that differentiation between publicly accessible and internal. Continuously update and manage both the proxy and the firewall. Just because you have it installed doesn't mean you need to make sure that the settings are appropriate and that it's been consistently updated against newer attack trends. Let's take a step back and see your knowledge and understanding of this practice so far. The question is, what is the best practice when it comes to a firewall implementation in your network? Is it A, assume your computer comes with a built-in one, don't do anything about it. B, uninstall the firewall and trust your instinct when it comes to browsing the web. Is it C, blocking everything using the firewall as anything can be a threat? Or is it D, check your firewall settings and ensure it is enabled and then set up the appropriate level of access to limit potential attacks? I hope you picked D, as that's the correct answer. Let's move forward. SC.1.175's assessment objectives are that 1. The internal system boundary is defined. 2. Key internal system boundaries are defined. 3. Communications are monitored at the external system boundary. 4. Communications are monitored at key internal boundaries. 5. Communications are controlled at the external system boundary. 6. Communications are controlled at the key internal boundaries. 7. Communications are protected at the external system boundary. And finally, 8. Communications are protected at key internal boundaries. The assessment objects for SC.1.175 are going to be the same across the board for all other practices, so take a second to pause if you'd like to take a look. We're going to go ahead and move forward. When assessment time finally rolls around, this list here is going to be very important in understanding what a C3PAO may examine from the following artifacts. Making sure you understand and acknowledge each of these will be vital for the assessment process. So let's go over a few to understand and see what you get from them. For the examine method, they might look at your system and communications protection policy. They might look at a list of key internal boundaries of the system. They might look at your system design documentation or boundary protection hardware and software. For the interview method, they might interview system or network administrators, personnel with information security responsibilities, or even system developers. And finally, for the inspect method, they might inspect mechanisms implementing boundary protection capability. As a reminder, this is not an exhaustive list. Make sure you're prepared for all of these and more. Here are some references to other security standards related to SC.1.175. You can use this as a mapping mechanism to see how the existing standards you have match up to CMMC and this practice. And that's it for today's discussion on system and communications protection. Thanks for sticking out till the end. If you would like to continue to learn more about CMMC, check out some of these resources we've listed on the screen and in the description below. As a reminder, Intersec Inc. continually posts educational content on our other platforms as well, which can be seen with our blogs at intersecinc.com/blogs, and you can join our mailing list at intersecinc.com/contact us, where you can see any relevant updates and changes to CMMC. The best way to take action on any of the information you learned in this video is to go ahead and practice for your CMMC certification, which can be done at the platform that we offer, www.securitycompliance.io. There, you can take a free self-assessment on your current standing with CMMC and generate a free gap analysis report to indicate your gaps and see what you need to work on. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe for more content if you would like to see more from us. Turn on post notifications so you can be alerted when we post a new video. Next time, we're going to continue our discussion on system and communications protection, so hope to see you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.